Welcome to this Leave No Trace online presentation. My name is Etna Larkin and I am the Training Administrator with Leave No Trace Ireland. I am sharing with you the guidelines for returning to delivering Leave No Trace training activities in a safe manner in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 is an unprecedented challenge for Leave No Trace Ireland and environmental education. Before restarting training, Leave No Trace trainers will need to review how you deliver your training and employ new practices and procedures to ensure everyone stays safe. Leave No Trace have developed operational guidelines in line with the Health Service Executive, the HSE, and the Health and Safety Authority. So here we will explore the legal requirements, the return to training plan, the newly developed COVID-19 guidelines, and the new documentation necessary for each trainer to complete before any further Leave No Trace activities can take place. In May 2020, the Irish Government launched the Return to Work Safety Protocol. This is a mandatory protocol for all workplaces. It is a collaborative effort by the Health and Safety Authority, the Health Service Executive, and the Department of Health. It is designed to support employers and workers to put in place measures that will prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the workplace. Leave No Trace have worked closely with Sport Ireland and Sport Northern Ireland to develop best practice guidelines for our training courses. The protocol is a living document, and Leave No Trace will have regular engagement with trainers about COVID-19 and preventative measures on all of our training programs. As part of that protocol, there is a requirement to have trained COVID-19 officers in each place of employment. And here in Leave No Trace, we have three: myself, Maura Kiley, and Noel Doyle. And there's a short video here which you can watch as the best methods to employ to protect yourself from COVID-19. Changes to all Leave No Trace activities will continue in line with best practice available and public health guidance measures. These measures are aimed at minimising the risk of COVID-19 transmission, and every person involved, both trainer and participants, have a responsibility to adhere to them at all times. In group settings on our training course, undertaking even more careful measures to avoid exposure and spread of COVID-19 will be paramount. Until public health advice permits otherwise, the key control measures for Leave No Trace trainers to prevent transmission of COVID-19 and allow for the safe resumption of training activities are as follows. The administration. Each trainer must undergo mandatory post-COVID-19 induction training, complete a return to work form, and return to the training administrator. Conduct a risk assessment on your selected training site and activities to be delivered. Plan and prepare training course complying with the new guidelines. And complete the declaration in advance of each training course and return to the training administrator. And these documents can be found in the COVID as appendices in the COVID-19 guidelines. You will also need to confirm with your insurance company to ensure that you are covered. So while you're preparing for the return to training, we ask that you complete the Sport Ireland online education module, which is available on the e-learning platform, and that you ensure continued awareness of safety protocols relating to your role as a trainer. It is important to adhere to best hygiene practice, frequent hand washing, sanitising, and regular cleaning and washing of gear and equipment. Avoid sharing water bottles and touching high contact surfaces such as door handles. Use of face masks where applicable, and when participants are engaging in activities and using resources is advised. And the use of face masks as opposed to visors is the current recommendation. It is important to observe government advised social distance guidelines. Avoid or reduce body contact to a minimum, shaking hands, clapping hands to completely avoid it under the current circumstances. and until measures are reduced, physical contact must be avoided. It is important to follow government social distancing advice in relation to all forms of transport to training. Trainers must travel to the training course alone, and all participants should be advised to travel alone also. It is essential that everyone in Leave No Trace works together to ensure compliance with these guidelines. Each Leave No Trace trainer will be responsible for ensuring that any training or activity they deliver follows the guidelines developed by Leave No Trace Ireland and will ensure the full cooperation of participants. Each Leave No Trace trainer will be responsible for ensuring COVID-19 protocols, including collation of health questionnaires and cleaning, sanitising of facilities and resources are followed. All teaching cards or resources which have been stored before COVID-19 must undergo cleaning and disinfection, and in between each course delivered. Trainers should review the methodology for the delivery of the training course. Before COVID-19, training resources and teaching cards were shared among participants. So in order to minimise the risk of infection, trainers need to risk assess all training activities and choose activities with minimum handling by participants. And trainers need to consider the educational approach from this perspective. Trainers need to confirm their first aid training qualification includes infection control. Given the risk of COVID-19 transmission while administering first aid, trainers must ensure all first aid kits now also include goggles to be worn by the trainer administering first aid, surgical masks for the trainer, and PPE gown. While you're preparing for your training, it's important to inform course participants in writing of the new regulations. We have included in our guidelines in Appendix 4 a sample document. There's a health questionnaire for each participant that must be completed before attending the course, and that is in the document as Appendix 5. Participants should be advised that they can bring their own mask for use during activities, and this should be strongly encouraged. Participants should arrive and leave as close as possible to the start and finish time of the course. Participants and trainer should wash their hands with soap and water or hand sanitizer when available, before, during, and as soon as possible after the training session. And participants should always carry a bottle of hand sanitizer and antiseptic wipes for their own use. And all participants must bring their own water bottles and reusable cups to the course. In the case of a suspect COVID-19 case, the following steps are advised to be taken. To provide the unwell person with a mask if they don't have one, and remove them to a designated isolation area away from other people. This should be a room where they can be isolated, ideally behind closed doors, and if possible open a window to improve ventilation. While waiting for guidance on what to do next, it's important that the person remains isolated, and if they need to use a bathroom, ideally it should be one that's not used by other people. Follow the protocol for the site that you have chosen for your training to deal with individuals with COVID-19 symptoms. If you're in the outdoors when somebody becomes unwell, isolate the participant from all other participants. And the trainer, you may be contacted by the HSE to discuss the case and contact details. If you're using an isolation area, it must be well ventilated and nobody must enter it for at least 1 hour. During your training course, the most important actions that we can take to protect yourself from COVID-19 is to undertake regular hand washing, good respiratory hygiene, and to follow physical distancing guidelines. And again, there's a short video here on how to wash your hands properly. The site you choose to deliver your training must have a COVID-19 management policy, and this must be confirmed to Leave No Trace before you can deliver your training course. Ensure COVID-19 protocols are covered at the beginning of your training course so everybody is clear on what to do. When you're inside, physical distancing is required between tables and seats at all times. Minimize touching and sharing of resources by participants. Have disposable disinfectant, wipes, hand sanitizer at all times available. And after the training, when it's over, ensure all participants leave the venue promptly. It is the trainer's responsibility to ensure all resources used are disinfected after the training course. And if a litter pick is carried out, litter pickers must be washed and disinfected before leaving site. The course registration will serve as the contact tracing log, but it's important that you inform your participants that you are keeping this information. The course registration should be completed electronically before the course and verbally confirmed on the day. So there's no sign-in sheet on your course and there's no sharing of pens or passing around paper. So in summary, the new procedures are to complete your Sport Ireland online course, download the certificate and send to the training administrator. A record of attendance at this mandatory training is necessary. You need to complete the return to work form before each training course. Complete a risk assessment of the venue. Participants must complete the health questionnaire before the course. And you as the trainer need to sign the declaration and return to the Leave No Trace office. And this is a sample declaration. This is the declaration form. You're confirming that you've read and understand the Leave No Trace COVID-19 guidelines. You've participated in an online induction session. You've completed the Sport Ireland module. You are confirming that the facility you are using for your training course has a COVID-19 management plan in place. And you're confirming that you understand it's not possible to eliminate the risk of the spread of coronavirus completely, but that you work to minimize the risk during the training course. You have reviewed your methodology for delivery of the training to minimize transmission of the virus. And you've completed and returned the return to work form. And your first aid certificate includes infection control. So if you have any queries, please feel free to contact training@leavenotraceireland.org with any questions, and please